A little bit ago, I heard something on the Hornady podcast where they were interviewing the CEO of Hornady, and they asked him what cartridge should have kind of kicked off and didn't.
I really wish the 300 RCM was more successful than it is. And
do you have a favorite cartridge, whether we developed it or not?
Well, the one that I hunt with the most is 300 RCM. It's a compact rifle designed for a 20-inch barrel. It's easy to get on and off a horse. It's easy to have on your shoulder, and it'll basically take anything in North America except the biggest of the bears.
300 RCM.
I mean, that's what we did when we developed that cartridge, is we were working to get the performance out of a compact rifle. RCM stands for Ruger Compact Magnum, and Ruger was who we were working with. It's the best of the bunch. I don't care what else you're shooting, the 300 RCM is still the best cartridge we've ever designed.
I thought to myself, I barely even know this cartridge. It's like a footnote in my brain. And yet, as I've looked into it, it's an amazing cartridge, and I have no idea why it's not more popular than it is. Think of the 300 RCM like a hybrid of the 308, 30-06, and the 300 Win Mag. 30-06 and 300 Win Mag, I mention those because it's kind of between the ballistics of both of those. It's about 100 feet per second faster than the 30-06, slower than the 300 Win Mag. Now that fits a really nice sweet spot because a lot of people consider the 300 Win Mag pretty hard hitting, and the 30-06 could use just a little bit more steam for the flatter trajectory out at longer range. But then I also mentioned the 308 because the 300 RCM is a short action cartridge. As I'm editing this video in my truck somewhere in Idaho Falls, I want to re-record this because I think I can explain it better. I think there are 3 reasons the 300 RCM failed. Number 1, it was 2008 when it was released, and so guns weren't really selling at the time because of the economy. Thing number 2, it has the name Ruger in it. And over the last 25 years, new cartridges named after gun companies have not done well because the other companies see it as a threat, right? And so Hornady just makes the ammo. And so when they make something, all the gun companies are on board with it. So I think the Ruger Compact Magnum, I think that absolutely hurt it. And the third reason that I think it failed is the 300 WSM came out 6 years before this. Now the 300 WSM has a little bit of an issue. It is that it's a rebated rim, and that gives an advantage of using the same bolt face on the edge of your bolt, and so it makes it easier for the gun manufacturers to produce the gun without making alterations. However, it does have some problems with feeding, and that has been an issue with the WSM series of cartridge that's not there in the Ruger Compact Magnum. This thing should be more popular. Suddenly, I want one of these. Up next, the cartridge that just absolutely ticks me off. But first, I want to tell you about today's video sponsor, which is Roman Home. A lot of the hunting that I've done in the past has all been archery hunting in August and September. But now that I've focused just on rifles, the seasons are a lot later, and I find myself wanting to set up hunting camps in October, November, December, and January. That being the case, it's miserable if you don't have a good place to stay. Roman Home makes some awesome canvas wall tents that really are a portable home. They do a few things different that make it just a more convenient experience. First of all, one person can set it up in 30 minutes alone. The stove is in the center, so it kind of gives that campfire feel. If you're terrible at rolling up tents, I don't know anybody who's like that, it's really easy to fit it in the package. This isn't a kit, everything's built for you. It even comes with the hammer. The instruction booklet is waterproof so that it will last a long time and be easy to set up and pack. Check it out at Roman Home. That's checking out Roman Home tents. They have 4-person, 2-people tents at the Roman Home website. The next cartridge is one that I might consider just a little bit better than the 30-06. And that is the 280 Ackley Improved. So this takes the 280 Remington cartridge that's been very, very popular for a lot of years. But today, you don't really see 280 Remington around, right? And that's because the cartridge that it spawned has kind of overshadowed it over time. So this takes that same case, it blows out the shoulder, so there's a sharper 40-degree shoulder on there. It straightens out the walls, so there's less taper in the walls. And it gives you just a tiny bit more powder. But the biggest advantage of the 280 Ackley Improved compared to something like a 30-06 is now we get to shoot 7mm bullets. 7mm bullets, all else equal, are going to have the highest BCs for practical shooting distances. That means less wind deflection and less drop. Personally, I think a lot of people that look at 7mm 08 just might be a little bit better served by going to the 280 Ackley Improved, because even if you want the lighter recoil of something like the 7mm 08, there's such a wide variety in loadings of the 280 Ackley Improved that you could shoot a much lighter bullet and have pretty similar recoil. Now let's get to the one that makes me angry. It's the 6.8 Western. Here's why it makes me mad. I hoped that this cartridge would not be on a list of underrated cartridges. I hoped it would just be accurately rated when it came out just a couple years ago. The 6.8 Western, in my opinion, is one of the best cartridges ever designed for the backcountry hunter. Super flat trajectory, strong enough to take down elk. It's in a short action platform, so you can get shorter barrels and lighter weight rifles. And it's in the .270 caliber, which happens to be one of my personal favorites. You'll get good BCs out of it, and you're getting enough frontal surface on that bullet to really take something down fast. Unfortunately, even Browning and Winchester are kind of abandoning the concept already. I noticed at SHOT Show this year they're offering fast twist .270 rifles in the Browning X-Bolt line. And when I saw that, I was like, no, this is not how we do marketing. This is not it, right? So the 6.8 Western, one of the advantages of it is it has a faster twist rate than the .270 Winchester. That faster twist rate means we can shoot those longer bullets that will be heavier and allow you to take down bigger game because of more penetration and just more lead that we're sending down range, right? Well, the problem with just the .270, and the reason it really deserved an update in the 6.8 Western, is because it had a slower twist rate. It could have used a little bit more capacity to shoot those bigger bullets too, but a lot of it was that twist rate. And so now Browning and Winchester are already taking down their own invention by offering a fast twist .270, which just takes away one of the big differentiators of 6.8 Western. Like if you want 6.8 Western to take off, you would want to make sure it's differentiated from everything else, and that's the way that you get this modern .277 caliber rifle. But I have not seen a single 6.8 Western rifle on a shelf in well over a year. The ammo has been plentiful, but no rifles. Lots of other Browning and Winchester rifles, but they're just not producing a ton in 6.8 Western. And now the 7PRC has come out that 6.8 Western, unfortunately, seems a little bit doomed to fail. I don't know why, because it's one of the coolest cartridges ever made, but they just haven't committed to it. So we've talked about better than 30-06 cartridges, right? Now let's talk about better than 6.5 Creedmoor. And on this one, I don't use any air quotes because I think this cartridge just might be better than a 6.5 Creedmoor for the reasons that most people buy a 6.5 Creedmoor. So the purpose of 6.5 Creedmoor in my eyes, the reason it's popular, is it has very low recoil, super mild to shoot. It's perfect for shooting deer-sized game. And most people aren't hunting the big stuff. They aren't hunting eland. They aren't hunting elk and grizzly bears. They're hunting whitetails. They're hunting maybe black bear. And that's about it. And so 6.5 Creedmoor really fits that bill very, very well. And because it's a lighter weight cartridge, I think a lot of shooters coming from 30-06 300 Win Mag world have for the first time said, oh, I can actually see the impact when I shoot because there's not as much recoil. To me, that's the advantage of the 6.5 Creedmoor. The 6mm Creedmoor one-ups it though, because it's shooting with slightly less recoil, but a lot more velocity. because it's shooting those smaller bullets, but much faster. So it's getting even flatter trajectories. I asked one of the old ballisticians and now marketer at Hornady, I said, hey, if you have to take a 400-yard shot, and if you miss it, like horrible things happen, your family dies, what cartridge do you pick to shoot with it?
400 yards, horrible death. I think, I think pretty easily I would go, depending on the size of the target. I guess if it was a small target, I'd go 6mm Creedmoor.
Awesome. What makes you pick that?
You got to mess up pretty bad to miss at 400 with a 6 Creedmoor, as far as you get the elevation forgiveness because it's going really fast. 108 grain bullet obviously bucks the wind really, really well. And I think that would give you the ability to mess up the most and still hit what you were aiming at that range.
I don't disagree. Super flat trajectory, bucks the wind. If you're going on a deer hunt and you might have some longer range shots, antelope, things like that, 6 Creedmoor is absolutely awesome. Really the only knock on 6 Creedmoor compared to 6.5 is one, a little bit less availability. 6.5 Creedmoor's, everywhere, especially in the rifles. And two, you're going to get a little bit less barrel life. But again, most people are never going to shoot out that barrel. 25-06. I think we may be seeing a renaissance in the 25 caliber coming up, because if you look at the market of just what's happened in hunting cartridges over the last 20 years, basically we say, let's take all the old cartridges, the 270, the 30-06, the 243, all of the old kind of standby cartridges, and let's put longer bullets in them with higher BCs. And in order to do that, we're going to have to improve the twist rate of the barrel. Oh, that was kind of cool. By doing that, we have some really cool cartridges on the market. But kind of everything's been done now, except the oft-neglected 25 caliber. Now, 25 caliber has been one of the worst cartridges to shoot during the pandemic because barrels were harder to find, bullets were harder to find, because there are fewer options, and so the makers haven't been making as much of it. Now that things are pretty available, I think we're going to see a renaissance in 25 caliber. The 25-06 takes the 30-06 case and necks it way down to 25, so we're shooting screaming fast. I mean, very, very fast bullets. Now, this cartridge has been around for over 100 years, the 25-06. But it really didn't see any major push until after World War II, when a lot of those surplus powders became available that could really take advantage of it, and then it could take down other cartridges that had existed and been popular, like the 250 Savage and 257 Roberts. It has less recoil than the 270, it packs more punch than the 243. The 25-06 is definitely one to look at, but it's pretty hard to find rifles on the shelf chambered in 25-06 today. Before you go, be sure to check out Backfire Plus. It's the new platform that I launched that has all the banned YouTube videos. It has courses in reloading, including a more advanced load development, scoping a rifle, things like that. The Backfire Mancast is coming out. We have podcast episodes out there. We're regularly releasing them. So check out the Backfire Mancast. That's all the stuff that I just can't say on YouTube about each weekly video, my downloads, and much more. Check it out on backfire.tv and check out Backfire Plus.